Jamal and Kim's Inner Circle Health Tribe, episode 25.
The reality between life and death is in the breath.
It's time to reverse the imbalances in your life as you take the first step on your own journey towards personal change. Welcome to Jamal and Kim's Inner Circle Health Tribe, educating, empowering, and inspiring individuals to live healthier. Now here are your hosts and your guides to natural living, Jamal and Kim.
Hi, Kim and Jamal here, and welcome to another episode of Jamal and Kim's Inner Circle Health Tribe podcast. We have another great interview for you this week. Today we are joined by Ayo Handy-Kendi. Ayo, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Kimberly. How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. How are you?
I'm thankful and blessed. And Brother Jamal, glad to speak to you too.
Yeah, greetings. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Definitely. And before we dive into the interview, what we like to do is share a little bit about you and some of the amazing work that you're doing. Ayo Handy-Kendi, known as the Breath Sekou, is a certified breathologist, laughter yoga teacher, Reiki Master, and passionate student and master teacher of the breath since 1970. She has used breath techniques to personally overcome many adversities and has breathed with millions on radio, TV, in print, on stage, and in private practice. She is the founder of Optimum Life Breathology, Transcendence Breathwork, Black Love Day, which is on February 13th, founder, director of African American Holiday Association, and CEO of PositivEnergyWorks, LLC. She is an author, speaker, storyteller whose focus on culture and holistic health is embodied in her Power of the Breath and Keepers of the Culture series of books, plays, DVDs, and CDs. As a sound healer composer, she performs with her husband featured as Earth Love Tune-Up Crew. She also hosts the Staging Baby Boomer show on Inner Light Radio. Using her broad experiences as a degreed counselor and community organizer, she empowers others with her positive energy and breath movement concepts.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yes.
And sounds good. Sounds good. I guess, you listen to your bio and you think about, gee, I work hard. But it's been a 40-year journey or more of working in the community. And I'm ever so thankful that along that path, the Creator gave me the awesome tool of the power of the breath. So I'm just really thankful to be here today to share.
Yeah, and I'm really happy to have you here because we get a chance to talk about, I would say it is the biggest and, my most favorite thing to do in the world, and that's to breathe,
Yes.
So, in our society, we don't get a chance to, unfortunately, talk about the most important thing in your life and using that. So I think this is going to be a great show. And, before we dive deeply into, breathology and the science of the breath, there's a lot of people on our show that's listening that this is their first time being introduced to you and the amazing work that you're doing. So why don't you tell us about your personal journey? Who is Ayo, and how did you become an advocate of the breath and helping people on their journey of health and wellness?
Okay, let's see how to say that in a shorter period of time to not really take people and take the whole show, because it's kind of an intense journey. Yeah. I actually got acquainted with the concept of using breath as a healing tool way back there in 1970. I studied transcendental meditation, and I saw the use of the breath to go into these deep, calming, relaxing states. And I continued to study things like Qigong and Shiatsu, got several certificates. I also was in school at that time as a counselor. I had traveled overseas around about 1969 to 1970, just coming out of high school. And I probably got actually turned on to drinking and drugging, and overseas with my in my Vietnam experience with my my high school sweetheart I married. Upon returning and going back to school and taking concepts like meditation and the energy balancing work, the breathing concepts was something that I did, but I drank and I drugged. I did them both, you know. And I often ask myself, about holistic health and the importance of the way of life that you've chosen as a vegetarian and a person attempting to be conscious. Was changing my name at that time to an African name, Ayo meaning joy, and wanting to give joy to the world, and was working in community-based organizations, learning about culture. But the 70s was the time when we were also gaining in consciousness, but we were gaining in consciousness, and some of that was, for me, through the experimentation of drinking and drugging. And some of it was also a need. There were times when I would be getting high, and I would say to myself, you're teaching youth at a, after school program and telling them, how drugs can be dangerous and what have you. But yet you are showing up in your own home and you're doing the very same things you're telling them not to do. And I noticed a lot of times I was holding my breath. I noticed often I felt numb and detached, and at times even somewhat low and depressed. And even though I was studying concepts about breathing, I did not quite understand why I always felt so much, totally exhilarated when I was high, extremely creative. But then I would go to these other periods where I was like, say even years, I would go to these other periods where I wouldn't touch anything, and I would just maybe do meditation, or I would attempt to do other holistic practices. Well, this kind of yo-yo in my life went along for close to 15 years. Of course, the husband who I was attracted to as my high school sweetheart, his drinking and drugging turned into a very serious addiction to heroin, and oftentimes he would be in a room shooting up, actually. I did not know this for a number of years. He managed his government job, but at the same time he was living a double life, and I was living a double life. And so I started a community newspaper after several years in which I just really had to make a decision about, was I going to continue to work at these community organizations, stay in this marriage that became very challenging for me, because I felt that as long as I stayed with this wonderful, he was really a good friend, but as long as I stayed with him, it seemed like I was always falling back into our little pastime. And then, of course, we decided to give birth, and I stopped drinking and drugging. Finished one degree, went back to school 2 years later, finished that degree, and in both of those pregnancies didn't drink and drug. But when after my second child, there was a part of me that really, really noticed that I couldn't continue with the lie I was living. I left the last, I think I was fired from the last job because we lost funding. And I started a community newspaper, and by then my husband and I decided to split up. And for 13 years after that, we co-parented our sons. We had this amazing kind of Bonnie and Clyde relationship where he was not only still drinking and drugging, but dealing. And, you know, I helped bail him out of different situations. And that path for me was some just crazy, crazy years. I produced a lot. But at the same time, in the production of the work I was doing, I was asked to come on radio. I was asked to come on TV. I was written up in publications because we were some of the earlier forerunners of Kwanzaa through an organization that the newsletter then became an event, and the event became a nonprofit organization. And through that evolution, we were some of the forerunners of Kwanzaa, and we started talking about the stresses and traumas in every single holiday as it relates to people of African American descent. This novel idea carried me into the 80s, and by now, I'm just really, really struggling with myself. I'm really struggling with this identity where I would go on a show, talk about all these cultural concepts. The newspaper talked about holistic health and healing, and then I'd be in the back room snorting some cocaine.
Wow.
Well, you know, finally, I saw that I couldn't stand myself. I couldn't take it anymore. By that time, I'm like 15 years into a drugging and drinking history. And in the last 2 years of this history, I become addicted to cocaine and alcohol. I called it my CNC, my Coke and cognac. And at this time in Washington, D.C., where I'm born and raised from, this is an era in our community where lots of kids are being shot in the streets. There's fighting amongst young people over turfs, and for all of the cocaine that's coming to our community. And I'm raising these two boys in a very somewhat inner city neighborhood is becoming gentrified. And so they start getting caught up in being able to serve the young whites and the young blacks who are coming downtown to hang out, you know, a club. And they have one foot in the church. They have one foot in the street. I'm now here, single mother. I'm trying to, you know, pull them into, you know, really constructive activities. But at the same time, I'm dealing with myself. And I think one day I just fell on my knees as I saw myself in the mirror. I had actually gotten a package of cocaine, and by now base cocaine is coming in and crack cocaine is coming into our communities, right? And I'm thinking I got a package that was powdered cocaine, but in actuality it's an oil-based cocaine. And I'm determined I'm going to snort it, but instead I have it. I'm cutting it, and I'm leaning on a sort of sort of like a shelf. And as I push down on the shelf just flips over, and the cocaine falls in the rug. And I had a cat, and it had cat hair all in the rug. And I see myself in the mirror crawling through the dirty cat-haired rug, trying to scrape up this oil-based cocaine that you couldn't really even snort. So my throat was getting gummed up. And I saw myself in the mirror, and I'd say, God, please, you have got to help me. You have got to take this taste out of my mouth. And I spent the next 2 years just reconstructing my life. I had a shift from all my friends. I developed a concept where I studied that if you clear your cells, then therefore the connection of the cellular goal is to, of course, please the cells. Addictions come from the cells demanding certain substances or certain energy or certain behavior that the cells actually get used to or programmed to. And I studied this concept and I said, well, it makes sense. If I just clear my cellular level, then, I won't be addicted to this stuff. So I started this path that I still work with today, which was a concept called Stop Smoking Naturally. And I cleansed my cells. I did bathing, hot baths with Epsom salt, and just tremendous relaxation techniques. I breathed. I shifted my friends. I shifted some of the places that I would go to hang out with. And I just reprogrammed my cells and I reprogrammed my behavior. And I stopped. I stopped my addiction. Well, unfortunately, by now I'm divorced from my husband. I attract a second husband, a second romance in my life, who then became my husband really quickly. And obviously, I was not totally cleared of my addiction because he had left his area of the country, had come to D.C., and he was actually running away from a raging crack cocaine addiction. Unfortunately, in my attempting to stop this relationship, because it got crazy as soon as we got married too quick. I got married within 2 months of meeting each other, and I did not realize how poor his, how really sick he was, and how poorly I had allowed another person into my life who had an addiction. I recognized that what we need to heal, we oftentimes are confronted with that very energy. And so I accepted that obviously there was still some parts of me that had a big, strong desire to drink and drug. Well, the best way I can express this next part of my journey is that I left D.C. trying to help save him, and we went to another part of the country, and within a week of going there, he found someone else that he could hang out with and get high with. And one day I got that call that no mother ever wants to get. And I was told that I had to run back to D.C. because my 17-year-old son, he was 3 weeks until his 17th birthday, had been hit over the head and left on his high school playground.
Wow.
And when I returned back home, my first husband and I had to make the decision to take him off of a breath machine or allow him to stay in this comatose state, which he did for 5 days. And as I watched him on the breathing machine, we were told that the doctor said we could let him stay on this machine for as long as you want. But I said, no, he would not have life. And my son, Rashid, had a lot of life. And in 17 years, he had done amazing, amazing things. But I knew that I could not allow him to stay in that vegetative state. So we made the decision to give 5 of his body parts to others. And we speak today that he lives in 5 other people. But that first experience gave me an aha moment, a serious aha moment, that the reality between life and death is in the breath. And that if you can breathe on your own, which is an automatic experience, that then you have full life. But when breathing is compromised in any way, then life is not full. It's not dynamic. He'd been on the machine, but he would not have had true, abundant life. Well, 2 years after Rashid passed, I was raging. I was angry. We never found his murderer. I was angry at the police. I was angry at the second husband, thinking had I not tried to leave D.C., My son might have been still with us. I was angry at everything. So I had stopped and drinking and drugging, and I found myself about to start back up again. The second husband by then was like, he was guilt ridden. So he was just like really, really in a very terrible state. And, I lost my first husband, Damani. We lost his parents within a month and a half of each other. Wow. We went through a whole experience of all of it, of us burying them and trying to hold on to their house. And that was a really, really challenging experience of holding on their house. So eventually we became homeless. And in that process, I began to recognize that I was not angry at just circumstances. There had been an anger that had been happening in me for a long time. And that it was the cause of me constantly holding my breath. I literally would find myself holding my breath sometimes so much that my head would hurt. I was almost feeling as if I wasn't connected to my body at all. So I went to a counselor, and the counselor said, have you ever thought that something happened to you when you were young? And I said, oh, no, I don't remember anything happening to me when I was young that I can remember, except that I do know that me and my dad used to call me names, and he used to talk about my color, and he used to tease me. And I just, just half time didn't pay my dad any attention. But I did notice as I got older that my dad and I really struggled with each other. And so the counselor said, have you ever thought your dad had done anything to you? And I said, no, I never think about that. Well, I was led to go to a workshop on transformational breathing offered by the Institute of Breath. And this workshop, within 5 minutes of the breathing technique, I started crying. Tears streamed down my eyes. And I felt more alive than I had felt in years, except when I was drinking or drugging. And within that year, my dad started dying of brain cancer. I had a second experience of having to be part of the decision making with my family to take my dad off of a breath machine. And I had that second aha moment, again about the breath being the determinant between full life and a stagnated life. And in letting my dad go, there was so much anger that I could barely see straight. The breathing techniques began to help me to unravel. Shortly before my dad actually passed away, that I had actually been abused by my dad. And that I had stuffed this pain, this trauma, this love for him, yet anger for him, so deeply into my cellular level so that I could probably cope from age 8 to perhaps around about age 14. That the only way I could have coped with the inappropriate touching and the inappropriate sexual advances and the way in which my dad really did verbally abuse me, yet seemed to want me. The only way I could deal with that was for myself, not me on a conscious level, but on a cellular level, the subconscious memory submerge and distance my mental response to that abuse. And in the breathing sessions, when the reality opened through my cellular release, I remember kicking, screaming, yelling, shouting, fighting with my dad. And opened up to the reality of why I'd had all these crazy relationships with both my husbands. Sometimes they would come to me in the middle of the night and I'd be hitting at them and they would say, "What's wrong with you, girl?" And I didn't know. And how the drinking and drugging was actually a way of coping. I began to study that depression comes in many forms, and that depression can sometimes and oftentimes is a part of an abused person's experience that then they act out by drinking and drugging, because in their anger against the abuser, they turn that anger instead onto themselves. And people would say, "Girl, getting high with you sitting there analyzing why you getting high. you know better. You shouldn't be doing all of this." I said, "Yeah, because I knew that it was something else going on with me. I had a lot of fun in those days, I have to admit, but I also knew that those dark days and those trying times, I knew that there was something else going on with me, because I truly did not like those trying times. And I had a whole lot more of those trying times, I think, in retrospect, than I had a lot of those fun, good times." Mm-hmm. And so I began to say to myself that we need a breath movement. That people like me who've been abused, the research began to become, it's like revealed to me. It was just like falling out of research books that 6 out of 10 people who did substance abuse had been abused when they were a child. And I began to devote myself more to the study of the breath. And as I felt better, I kept saying, "Hey, look, I'm going to start a breath movement. This stuff is really, this is the simplest thing right here, our breathing." And it was shifting and changing me so quickly that for the next maybe 2 years, that's what I did. I got rid of that second husband, sent him back home to face his demons, even though we lost the house, moved in with, family members. But I just kept breathing. I had managed now domestic violence. I mean, my second husband dragged me in the street. I had been homeless. I had lost family members. I lost an amazing house that, it was people were stealing our house. I had to fight them. But through all of those next several years, my breathing helped me manage the stress, the trauma, the pain, the anger. And when I came to look at myself one day, somebody said, they looked at me too, and they said, "Sister, you're looking real good nowadays. What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm just breathing a lot. I am working with myself with the breath." And people said, "Would you help me?" And that's how I started working in the field, where I created a number of methods and concepts and started sharing. And people started asking me to come on radio and TV and print and breathe with them. And by then, in 93, when my son was killed, because I walked the streets where he was killed and tried to breathe with the young people in his neighborhood, I started Black Love Day. And Black Love Day on February the 13th, we incorporated the concept of helping people breathe through their relationship pains and the trauma of life. And the Washington Post picked it up, and that is perhaps, how the journey towards helping other people became for me through the adversities of watching him. I have been very blessed to have helped millions and millions of people breathing with them on radio, TV, and print.
Wow. Yeah, that's an incredible, impactful, and powerful story.
I apologize. It's a long story. I don't know how to shorten this story.
No, it didn't need to be.
That was a journey. That was a journey.
Yeah. and that's what we asked. Yeah, what was your personal journey?
I told you to take up the whole show because it's more. But I try to tell the story when I do a public speaking presentation because I do work with a lot of people who've been abused now. I work with addicted populations. I'm currently using work with the breath with several new concepts. I'm certified breathologist since 2004. We've been taking a certification program that I developed. We now have 83 breathologists. And we're now working on a concept called Transcendence Breathwork, because Transcendence Breathwork takes some of the other previous breath techniques that I learned through the Institute of Breath into a whole nother, more African-centered and heightened, holistic breath technique where you're bringing in sound and movement and cathartic, screaming, hollering, just really releasing and then connecting the breaths so that the subconscious memory can be assessed and the breath actually helps to release some of those old patterns and stuck energy. Wow. So I continue to do the work, and now we see how racial healing has become a critical part of releasing all of that cellular memory. We're literally collectively still dealing with stress and the old traumas of racism in Black and white communities. And perhaps to me, the best solution for us to be able to move forward with those issues, I believe now, is for us to breathe.
Yeah. Right? I think that, you touched on so many great things just in your journey, just the revelations and things that you had. But one thing in particular that I do want to point out is, everything that you went through, and I know you went through the clearing on a cellular level, but it seems like the true healing took place when you were able to release the emotional trauma and that emotional trapped, blocked energy within the cells and within your body through breath control. That seems like, when you really lift it up, and with that revelation of the breath. And it's just such an important part of healing when you deal with things on an emotional level. And for a lot of people, this is such a new concept. They always, they always address everything else except that. And they keep going backwards. They keep sliding backwards and never quite being able to heal the way that they think they should or the way that they should. So the fact that your journey is a testament of how you can transform yourself when you grab a hold of that energy, I think is, extremely powerful. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, Jamal, I think people think that emotions are just thoughts.
Right. Yeah.
And they're not. Emotions are things. Yeah. And they can be measured. Right. They can be seen jumping around our brain cells, through cameras that show up the different colorations of different thoughts and patterns. Right. Or they can be measured. And in the awareness of quantum work, quantum physics, I've been really, really studying how now people have come to the reality that physical illness come from emotional illness.
Yes.
Our physical cellular relationship is detrimentally it's detrimentally impacted by some of the emotions that we carry. And so for me, the emotional stuck energy had actually manifested in a number of physical energies. Right. And then I looked at, my whole family history. My mother's a 47-year survivor of breast cancer. The husband that she was married to, my dad, it was different dynamics I saw within them. His father had been an alcoholic. He had been abused. His sisters had been abused. He got in a relationship with my mom. He was trying to do some verbal abuse. And then she got breast cancer.
Yeah.
And so my mom is cool and calm and collected, and she's, like the foundation of our family. She would sit and just seethe with anger over some of the things that would happen. And she didn't know about this abuse until later on. I was able to tell her, and she's very proud of me that I stand in front of groups and on the radio and talk about this abuse. But she held on to pain for so long that it showed up in how her physical response turned cancerous.
Yeah.
And there's been lots and lots of studies about how our emotions play out in physical phenomena. So we tell people that we got to get to it to get through it.
Right. Yeah.
You can't stuff these emotions. If you gotta kick, scream, holler, confront, write the stuff down, tell someone else, deal with your emotions. And as you deal with emotions are able to actually change the genetic structure of ourselves. It's powerful work that's being done on the emotional level as it relates to the quantum level of our being able to heal and to use the holistic tools of thought, feeling, affirmations, visualizations, the ways in which we are able to tell the mind through thought that we must change our thoughts. And in changing our thoughts, it helps to change the reality of how we physically show up.
Yeah.
Very powerful movie to look at over and over and over again is What the Bleep is Going On. And I pulled that out recently, and it's sort of halfway through the film where they go into a whole piece about the peptides and the receptors and the genes, and that the peptides are these emotional charges that come forth that are actually a protein-type plasma. And that these emotional charges that we think are just these nebulous things, right? They are actually sending a signal that's more than just a thought signal, but it's an actual energetic physical signal to the receptors in our cells, and our cells turn on and then therefore react. And the consistent thought joining with the receptiveness of the cell creates, if it continues in a similar pattern, what's called a neural net. And this neural net then shows up, as we say, we're programmed to behave in a certain way, or that we are addicted to certain behaviors. And what I was doing and didn't know what I was doing was that as I did those baths and I did the affirmations and I cut off the friends and all of that, with my addiction, I actually broke the neural net of the response that I had been just walking through, as if it were automatic. And it was at that point. It was automatic responses. But I broke the pattern. And so now, we continue to recognize that our breathing can be a real big component of breaking those automatic responses that we're on automatic pilot and we just go. So, we get mad, so we strike out. So we use breathing for conflict resolution. We get upset and we want to act out. But instead, if you can slow down the nervous system and breathe, you're more conscious of what you're saying and what you're doing and how you're responding. And so you slow down the reactiveness of the mind.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling like really low and down and the cells have actually gotten familiar with that low feeling. So you breathe instead and you intervene with the low feeling, which raises up the dopamine levels in the cells, and therefore that becomes the response of our activity. So many different ways that breath is used, from the emotional thought level. Of course, physically, breath helps us to detoxify the body, which means that, 70% of our breathing energizes the cells and detoxifies the old waste matter, the old cellular stuff, the carbon dioxide gas we don't need. So, we get tremendous physical detoxification, but we also get the spiritual connection that also lifts us up and makes us more conscious of every single movement, thought, awareness, because the very word spirit means to breathe. And if we are just moving around and not connecting with our spiritual conscious selves, there's much that will occur that we'll look back and we'll say, wow, I really wasn't even thinking that the consequences of my actions would be what showed up. Yet if we can stop and breathe deeply and fully, allowing the breath to really open up the spirit within us, then this response will be more of a spiritual response. So the work for me for breath is just, how can I best describe it? I see that we have a holistic tool that's right under our noses, doesn't cost us anything. It's always available to us 24/7. It connects us with spirit, mind, and body. People live from the breath. If you're hungry, you want to breathe, so you don't need to eat as much food. So people lose weight using breath techniques. Breath enhances our sexuality when you increase the oxygen flow to the parts of the body that needs to be warmed up. Breath can also warm us up if it's extremely cold. There's breath techniques that will warm us up and will cool us down, as well as there's breath techniques that will wake us up in the morning and help us go to sleep at night. We find that this whole awareness became, to me, a system called Breathology that in 2004 we introduced as the umbrella of all the myriad of breath techniques. And we put them in an umbrella and we coined the concept. It was already there, but we just used it to describe the breathology is the art and science of breath awareness, breath techniques, and the mechanics of how to use the breath to be a tool.
Right.
And I'm just really excited about what's coming up in the spring. We'll be taking our 5th Power to Breath tour and certifying more. We have about 80 breathologists in 5 states. We'll be certifying, we affirm, maybe 3 times as many breathologists, because people are really waking up and seeing that this is a tool that is universal.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of goes to that saying, the best kept secrets are hidden in plain sight.
Right.
I mean, when we think about when we think about it here, I mean, it seems, when you really think about it, it actually seems pretty logical. The very thing that you need to sustain life could be the very thing that you need to heal yourself if you just learn how to master it. But we neglect it. Everyone neglects it. You don't even think twice about breathing, even though that's the only thing that you do all the time.
Until you're about to lose it. That's when you think about it.
That's it. That's it. I say that all the time. We don't think about our breathing until we can't breathe. We're about to lose it.
Right.
It's such a shame. Yeah. And Brother Jamal, you're so correct. On average, we breathe 20,000 times a day.
Wow.
15 to 18 times a minute.
Yeah.
And to be able to master something that we're just doing, not paying no attention to, but to begin to focus attention on our breathing and to begin to really harness its enormous power has become just the most awesome thing, to be able to share this knowledge with people who actually look and they say, wow, I tried what you said.
Right.
And it worked just like that.
Yeah.
My husband was catching a cold the other day, and, he lives with this, so-called breathologist, and I'm always telling him, well, John, you ought to do this with your breath or do that with your breath. And he does, and he's a breathologist too. Mm-hmm. And we have, that whole thing, your family will suggest something to you, say, okay, yeah. Well, he sat in our library, and he had the cover over his head. And I said, John, what are you doing? And he said, Ayo, you know what? My breathing really helped me. I didn't catch the cold. He said, I put the cover on my head, and as I was breathing in and out, I could actually feel some of that toxic stuff breaking all up in my chest and in my head, and my nose started running, and it was like I pushed the mucus out. And he said, well, that really worked. He said, I feel 100% better. Yeah. And I said, well, I'm glad. Yeah. I just been telling you that you hear me tell people that all the time. If you're catching a cold, the first thing you should do is a cleansing breath.
Right.
Open up the epiglottis and, really open up the air passages and do a whole lot of deep breathing. Jump in a tub with hydrogen peroxide, lots of the water, we breathe through the skin, we breathe through the bowels, 70% is breathing through the skin, and 30% is 70% is breathing through our lungs, and 30% is breathing through our skin, and 3% is breathing through our bowels. So if you're getting ready to catch a cold, the best thing you can do, because the cold really is a cleansing, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's trying to help the body get rid of the junk that's making the cells get uncomfortable. So if you can cleanse the cells real quick, your little cleansing period will be shortened.
Right. Yeah.
So get in a hot tub of water, throw some hydrogen peroxide in it, which has an extra element of oxygen in it. Drink a lot of water with the oxygen in the water.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Sit there and deep breathe, more oxygen, cleanse them cells, sweat. By now, you're probably, if you eat some greens or some fruits and vegetables, you're probably going to have a good bowel movement. And if generally, you won't catch the cold. Or if you catch the cold, it will be very short.
Yeah, very minimal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oxygen is the key to it. And the breath is the primary conductor of bringing this wonderful life force.
Right.
That's oxygen into our bodies.
I mean, what you're doing here is you're really cutting through everything. Like we're going past nutrition. We're going past, exercise.
Yes.
We're going past all of those other, distractions in a sense. And we're getting to the fundamental essence of your life, which is your breath. And before we consider anything else, get your breathing right.
Get your breathing right.
Yeah.
Get your breathing right. All of that's important, yes. I'll go into a health fair and, I do a presentation, and I will start off often the presentation. I'll say, everything around here is important. It really is.
Yeah.
The most critical thing that anybody can do in this health fair is to relearn how to breathe.
Right.
Because it's the fundamental of life. We can live without the food for 45 days or more. We can live without water for maybe upwards to 21 days or more. But 6 minutes or more without the breath, we're going home to glory.
Right. Yeah. That's a wrap.
So we're talking about the fundamental essence of life here.
Yeah.
And we're talking about harnessing this powerful fundamental and beginning to use it just when we need it. So even also when we don't know,
right.
we're using it as well.
Yeah.
If we can just be, quasi-conscious of our breathing, we will see that we will have tremendous results. If in part of our day we are able to allow ourselves to breathe, we will actually see the difference in the way in which we show up. But I was going to say one last thing about Dr. Andrew Wales, a board-certified physician and a holistic practitioner who does integrated health and medicine. He makes a statement that's come from his experience with breath training. He speaks to a very important point that whenever we're looking at any disorder of health, that we should look at our breathing first, not last, but first.
Yeah.
And in my work as a holistic practitioner, and as a person who tries to do more like community-based types of holistic work, I do have a private practice, but I'm always on the front line of watching, listening, hearing when I can share health and healing, no matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing. I have actually seen that in reality. I have stood at the bank and waiting in line, or at a grocery store waiting in line, and I have heard people's belabored breathing.
Right. Yeah.
And I have actually turned to them and said, how you doing? Are you all right? And the stories I get is a real wake up call to the number of people who are struggling with their breathing. We learned a statistic years ago that said 9 out of 10 people do not breathe efficiently.
Wow.
They're breathing from the shallowmost portion of their upper chest compared to deep in their body, the diaphragm. And so when we developed the concept, we learned how to breathe. It was in response to some of the answers that I get. People have expressed to me their emotional stuff they were going through, the nervous tension, panic attacks, stomach issues, headaches, on and on and on, physically and emotionally. And in some of those instances, I have actually said, I'm a breathologist. You mind trying something?
Right.
People have actually stood at lines and they have tried to breathe deeper. And it is a blessing, sister and brother, to literally right in front of your eyes, watch somebody take 2 or 3 deeper breaths and look at you and say, I feel better.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible.
But when you take them through a 45-minute session.
Yeah, you're going to have a huge shift.
Yeah, I mean, it's tremendous shifts. Shifts of consciousness, shifts of physical, shifts of emotional. And I have been blessed to be one of the few people of color who have been working in that arena now for a number of years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's blessed work. I do a 9-hour certification, so I can talk about it all day long.
Yeah, which I think is great. It's needed because this is one of the things that we're not talking about, which is why we wanted to have a show on the breath, because we understand it's so important. And I think it's also good to point out, because you're talking about all of these amazing things that you can do with your breath. And one of the things that you said was, whether you're conscious of it or not, you're using your breath to have an effect on your health. So a lot of people are actually using their breath, to have, poor health in a sense, because they're not managing their health using their breath. So if you're not using it for good, then you're having shallow breathing, then you're kind of using it against you in a sense. So it's really like you only have one choice: either use it to better yourself, or use it to against yourself. So Yeah, so you have to be aware of your breathing and at least master breathing correctly. You know, if you're not going to do anything else. So can you do something for us in terms of breathing? Do you think that you can just kind of give our listeners just a really basic technique that they can do right now, or that they can use to just begin to use their breath for something positive in their life?
Okay. Yes, simply the technique that I think now has become my signature is relearning how to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we all say that we breathe, we wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
But to breathe efficiently is what you just described. We breathe automatically and don't pay any attention to our breath. But to be conscious or mindful of every breath that we take enables us to be in the here, now, present, which is something that's kind of difficult in modern day times, to be here and present, and to be more conscious of a better breath or a deeper breath,
Mm-hmm.
which is deep in the body. And so we encourage people to put their feet on the floor, the ground, and we encourage you to loosen up belts or any tightness around the neck, in addition to around the middle of our bodies. And simply sit back if you're in a chair. If you're driving, I don't recommend that you do this because you'll get very relaxed, and we don't want to take responsibility for that. So we'll have to take responsibility, but we don't want the consequences and have to deal with the responsibilities of that. And put one hand on your chest, right near your heart, and put the other hand right at the belly button. Take the thumb of that other hand and connect right at the belly. And take the other 4 fingers and shift them right below the belly, like we say we're loving and hugging our bellies. And allow yourself a moment to breathe. Close your eyes. Allow the breath of life to come in and out, in and out, in and out. Feel the breath of life, the very thing that we don't pay any attention to, that now allow yourself to feel the sensation of breath coming in and out of your body. Feel the breath coming in through the nose, or it could, for you, come in through the mouth. Whichever path of the breath, just allow it. Inhale into the space and imagine this space as a quiet space where with each breath, the mind, the body just gets even more quiet. Oh, it's so good to breathe. It is safe for you to breathe. Allow the breath of life to come in and out, in and out, in and out. Notice the sensation of breath in your body. Does the breath seem tight around your chest? Does it seem staggered? Or is there an even flow? Notice if the breath is hot or cold. Feel the body's rhythm with the breath. Notice if the heart is slowing down. As you inhale in and exhale out, notice if your hand is going up and down in your chest with each in-breath that you take. Or if you notice the hand is going up and down, notice the tightness around your neck or your shoulders. This would mean that you're one of the 9 out of 10 who's breathing shallow, and the breath is restricted with nowhere for the expanded lungs to expand. But instead, try to breathe deep within the body, which means as you inhale in, try something different. Breathe into the hand on your belly. Inhale, let the belly come out. Exhale, the belly goes in. Inhale, the belly comes out. Exhale, the belly goes in. Inhale, the belly comes out. Exhale, the belly goes in. Visualize this in your mind as you breathe. Imagine your belly is like a balloon. As you inhale, the balloon begins to expand, just as your belly will expand, opening up your lungs to its expanded girth to take in more of this wonderful life force oxygen. And as you exhale, imagine your balloon, your belly releasing, which then begins to empty the lungs, and they begin to collapse somewhat. And the old, stale carbon dioxide, the air that we don't need, is beginning to come out of the body. So inhale in this elixir of life, which is the oxygen, the life force, and exhale out that which we no longer need. Inhale in and expand the belly, and exhale out. And know that what you release will open the space for more of what you need. And inhale in this wonderful joy that comes from giving your body what it needs. And exhale out that which is no longer serving us, creating a wonderful vacuum for that which is our blessing, the essential nutrient that gives us all life. So inhale and know that this joy that we're bringing into our body will circulate and slow us down and feed us optimally with each breath that we take. And exhale, almost like a gentle sigh, sending this good feeling into the universe. Because when we relearn how to breathe, we create more joy, more peace, greater positive energy. And as we exhale, letting go of that which is no longer serving us, letting go of the old toxic waste, so that we can bring in more of the joy than this wonderful exchange of these gases of life, the essential food, life itself. Feel that you are loving your body and taking care of your mind and elevating your spirit. So we learn how to breathe for better life, health, work, and longevity because there is power in our breathing. So on the count of 3, inhaling once more and hold the breath in the belly. Let the belly really expand. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. And open the mouth slightly and just go. And slowly begin to open your eyes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that was nice. That was incredible. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Oh, we give thanks for that.
Yeah, definitely. Just so happy to bring attention to this.
Yes.
And just to shift gears just a bit,
Certainly.
when we talk about the breath, and another thing that's powerful for the body is love. The vibration of love. And
Yes.
To my surprise, I didn't notice when I was looking at your info, you're one of the founder of Black Love Day, and we're coming up on Black Love Day, February the 13th, right?
Yes.
We have been, actually practicing Black Love Day for probably almost 20 years.
Oh, great.
Yeah, didn't even, so so we totally can connect. And there's still a lot of people out there. As long as it's been around and as amazing as it is, there's still a lot of people out there that don't know about it.
Yes.
Yeah, can you just take a moment to just talk about that a little bit and educate our listeners on Black Love Day who are just hearing about this for the first time?
Oh, certainly. Born during that period of time where there was a whole lot going on in my world as well as in the world, where I think we really needed a lot of self-love.
Mm-hmm.
1993, I was given an inspirational vision after seeing the Spike Lee's version of Malcolm X, in which I saw black folks killing Malcolm. And I remember getting on a bus coming home. I was by myself, and it was right after the New Year. It was an unusually hot day in D.C., and I was sitting in the back of the bus, and sunlight was pouring in the window of the bus, and I remember not being able to shut that image out of my mind. That was a profound image that had happened, for me in some of the neighborhood experiences I had. And I remember asking the Creator, what can I do to stop the violence and increase the peace? And I heard the Creator say to me in the sunlight of the bus that we needed more black love. We needed more black love. And I turned around. We were actually coming from what's called an end of the line. So there was nobody on the bus but me and the bus driver. And I really knew that I had been touched. I felt by the hand and the voice of God expressing to me that this need of more black love was the answer to my question, what can I do or what can we do? And I kept hearing the message over and over again, and I began to say, okay, every time I was in meditation, I was in one of my meditation periods, I think, and I remember the voice just saying, we need more black love, we need more black love. And because I had started the African American Holiday Association by that time, I said, well, it's no accident that I'm being told this. Maybe we need a Black Love Day. And it was almost as if as soon as I said, yeah, maybe we need a Black Love Day, that I stopped hearing the voice saying, okay, we need more black love, we need more black love. And then books started falling off the shelf telling me about the number 13 being a spiritual number of transformation. And walking down the street, this African brother, he said, Sister Ayo. And I was telling him about, black love. I think we're going to start a Black Love Day. And he said, in Africa and Senegal and the Ivory Coast, there's black love. There's, there's things that talk about black love. And he said, black love in some of the traditional cultures of the motherland means unity. That love is unity. And that when we come together in the unity circles, we come together because we're expressing love.
Right.
And I said, oh, yeah, that's powerful. Yeah. And colors and concepts. And so within about 40 days, another significant number, we had our first Black Love Day. And Black Love Day, from that seed thought or that inspiration, and all of the people who shared these concepts that helped to synthesize this holy day, now has gone international as the third internationally celebrated holiday, or we say holy day.
Yes.
Of atonement and forgiveness and reconciliation and the demonstration of Black love.
Right.
Showing 5 specific tenets. We call them the 5 loving acts of Black love, or the 5 tenets of Black love. Showing love first for the Creator, for ourself, our family, our Black community, and the Black race.
Yes.
And we don't just, I love you, and give little trinkets to say I love you. We actually demonstrate love throughout a 24-hour period, using those 5 principles as the guideline. And then after the first Black Love celebration, the second husband, struggling as he was, he made this magnificent poster in honor of Black Love Day. And I started writing the Black Love book, and I used his artwork from the poster. And while we were just sitting, I think, going over the images, he said, you know what, I'm getting the inspiration that, Black Love Day shouldn't just be for Black people, that we should have white people doing something on Black Love Day. And I said, brother, Jabbar is his name. I said, Jabbar, I don't think that's not what the Creator said to me. He said, no, I'm telling you, that's what I'm hearing. And so I think I went in meditation, and I just prayed on it, and I began to hear the same message, that in the same 24 hours, white people needed to exercise and demonstrate those 5 specific loving tenets, not only for their self, but how that connection would help them to heal through some of the trauma and racism and white supremacy stuff that they were still dealing with, by showing love and kindness, love and action towards Black people.
Yes.
And so when we introduced that, I guess that was in 95, just a year before the Million Man March. Of course, we got some heat from the folks who was just beginning to love Black Love Day. It's about Black people. There you bringing in white folks in it. And I had to stand for the spiritual messages that we were receiving. And I think that because holistically I saw that since white folks actually come from Black folks, that in order for all of us to heal our relationships, that we had to bring that element into Black Love Day and just stand for it. And as each year Black Love Day reinvents itself,
Yeah.
We have had themes. We have the relationship ceremony that has evolved with a ritual reconciliation, another inspirational message that allows us to actually cleanse and breathe through a lot of the traumas of our relationships. We have actually seen that because the holy day of Black Love Day being holistic in its total approach to helping us all return to love, not a whitewashed version, not a commercialized version like Valentine's Day, but a true holistic expression of the transformative power of love. I know in my heart that that's why Black Love Day has expanded to the extent that it has.
Yes.
Yeah, granted, everybody doesn't know about it, but I always tell people, Coca-Cola is still promoting itself after all these years.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's a reason why you keep getting out there and you keep promoting it.
Right.
Somebody that doesn't know about it.
Yes.
But I am humbled, brother and sister. I am so humbled because I never in my wildest imagination would think that in 23 years, we have the African American Holiday Association and this is actually my fourth husband, John, and I have been invited. We were invited to come to Benin, West Africa.
Nice.
Do a ritual reconciliation at the gate of return. We were asked to come to Liberia, West Africa, to breathe with the Liberian folks who had experienced the Civil War. And in that process, we taught them about breathology, but also shared with them the ritual reconciliation and the concepts of Black Love Day. And there are colleges and universities and independent Black schools and organizations, Black and white, that have Black love ceremonies and gatherings and get-togethers and who just honor the day.
Nice.
Demonstrate for the 24-hour period. So this year, our theme for Black Love Day is healing the hurt, sharing the solutions to racism and prejudice. And here comes Sister Stacy Dash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Comment. And so we have been able to say some messages about how Miss Stacy's comment about, let's do away with Black History Month, we should have a White History Month, And we've been able to say, well, no, Stacy, you don't get all that you want. But guess what? There is a place for white people coming up on February the 13th that might not be White History Month, but because white people get their day every day.
Right.
But on the 13th of February, this transformative number allows us to use the transformative power of love, and that white folks need to really stop a moment and deal with some of this white privilege stuff that they go through, and that the people like Miss Stacy really need to look at some of the intraracial prejudices that we still harbor. We know Malcolm always said, who taught us to not like ourselves? It's up to us to use this day on the 13th to begin the process, or to complete the process of bringing us back to our wholeness.
Yes. By
simply spending a quality period of time just loving ourselves, doing everything we can to just love ourselves, everything we can, and use those 5 guiding principles as a framework for us to do that.
Right.
It's a very powerful, transformative power that love is. We know of other visionaries and revolutionaries and spiritually guided people who were able to see major shifts and changes in the world by harnessing the power of love. And so I'm just really blessed because I get to share messages of love. I get to share messages about the breath. And I get to really walk my walk and talk my talk.
Yeah.
As I was able to forgive my dad. I'm 23, 24 years drug-free.
Yes.
Nice.
I was able to attract a very loving, non-addictive man in my life. Now, we've been together now for over 15 years. I shared with you the story of my puppy who recently just out Clear Blue knocked on our door. And she's come, I think, to us so that we can just add to our love circle. And I'm blessed. I have 19 grandchildren and
Wow.
4 great-grandchildren, and I work with them. Mama Ayo, Mama Ayo, Mama Ayo. I'm always sharing the love with them. Got a 91-year young mother who I'm continuing to do a lot of work with her. And just end up sharing love around the country, around the world, and in my community through these powerful, powerful, transformative projects that the Creator just, says, okay, here's something next got for you to do.
Yeah.
And I listen and I follow to the best that I can.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes.
And that's what Black Love Day is. It's an opportunity that wherever you are. Some people say, I'm going to the Black Love Day. No, if you have an event in your community, you're going to an event in honor of Black Love Day.
Right.
But 12 noon around the nation, we encourage people to stop and be in affirmative prayer, connect with their breathing, slow down, give thanks for the Creator's ability to move us in a new direction in our country. Affirm our theme that we must heal the hurt. We must get to it to get through it, to heal the hurts that we have held on for too long about the traumas of racism, white supremacy, prejudices, the police brutality, all of the ways in which our humanity divides us because of the color of our skin or the way we show up and how we look, the texture of our hair or the broadness of our nose or the language that we speak or our tribal customs. Around the world, how many divisions allow us to hurt and maim each other, fight terrible wars like the 15-year war in Liberia, But how we can harness the amazing power of our love to begin to let go of those hurts and pains and hopefully use the tool to breathe through it so that we can cleanse and clear and move in the direction of what the Creator would have us to do. And that is to love each other and, yes, forgive each other. We may never forget totally our pains. We may never totally forget what happened to us. But we can forgive and we can atone. We can demonstrate a difference as we reach out and change our behavior, which then gives us a spiritual lesson in at one-ment with the Creator when we move in the direction of what is called divine grace by letting go and truly knowing that we can't exercise revenge on those who have hurt or harmed us. But when we let go and know that the Creator is the decider and the force that will win our challenging battles for us, give it up and watch how our love can actually heal the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Powerful words. I mean, you're doing so much. We really appreciate all of the work that you're doing.
Yes.
Definitely, you're definitely a blessing. Definitely.
Yes.
And
so much thanks.
Yeah, we appreciate the Creator for using you as a divine vessel to do this work for us and to just awaken, humanity as well as our people on the power of the breath and the power of love. We really, really appreciate you and appreciate having you on our show today. It was amazing. Really enjoyed it in every way. And for our listeners that want more and they want to follow you and they want to study the breath more and they want to learn more about Black Love Day and your publications and everything that you have going on, how can people stay connected to you and find you?
Oh, I appreciate it. And I tell people, feel free. They can pick up the phone and call me. In this day and age where we've got Twitter and we've got email and we've got Facebook and LinkedIn and all these electronic ways, I actually encourage people, if they'd like, they can call me at 202-667-2577. If I can, I'll talk to you right then. If I can't, we'll set up time. 202-667-2577. A lot of people who are struggling with their breath and having panic attacks, it's very important that I've made myself available, because some people have actually, their lives have been saved because they did pick up the phone and they called me and we were able to help them breathe through an issue. So that's first way. People can always go to two websites. Right now, most of the Black Love information is on the African American Holiday Association's website, which is the 3 W's dot African American Holidays with an S on the end .org. African American Holidays.org. Everything you ever might want to ask about Black Love Day is on that site. But it's still evolving while we're in this 23rd year's campaign. So feel free to order the Black Love book, which is, for me, the best way of knowing everything you ever wanted to know, not only about Black Love Day, but it's a whole lot in that book is about love.
Yes.
Yes, the transformative power, the tool that love is. And we have some information in that book about breath. And if you want to know all about the services of PositivEnergyWorks, which is my for-profit business, but it's a still not-for-profit type of business. We give a lot of service.
Yeah.
PositivEnergyWorks is that site, www.PositivEnergyWorks.com. 1E connects the positive with energy, so PositivEnergyWorks.com. And we have services listed there. We have a number of the relaxation CDs that my husband and I have created, great music to breathe by. And we have several DVDs and the Power of the Breath book, which is now in ebook format. And there's an Applied Breathology DVD, and I've written a book for children that talks about why the breath has so much power, which
excellent.
is great.
Definitely.
Excellent.
And adults dealing with asthma and, just the critical importance of breathing. Story that I created that, I would tell people, children, they help them really understand the critical importance of breath compared to all of our senses. And so you can get all of those items probably on PositivEnergyWorks. And then, of course, if you're interested in having us come into your community, you can actually use the form there that tells how we can come for the breath work with racial healing, the breath as it relates to laughter. Yoga, we call that it's a play shop. The breath and sound experience now, where we are offering powerful visualizations and activations for us on a mass consciousness level to shift and change and open our cellular memory so that we can collectively begin to let go of what we're told is post-traumatic stress syndrome, which I always say is current, still stress and trauma and ongoing, but that we can use, again, breathing techniques to let go of the trauma so that we can move forward, as well as, breathing for having a baby, breathing to deal with the stop smoking and addiction issues, breathing just for joy.
Yeah.
Breathing just to have a better breath as you relearn how to breathe. All of those workshops and breath shops and play shops are listed on the Positive Energy site. And truly, I'm so thankful to be able to stretch out and talk about this issue because our breathing will enhance our ability to be more loving. If we're tight, restricted, stressed, traumatized, in pain, if we're able to master the breath, then we will begin to have a different love relationship for ourselves, our family, and our community. Because stress is a big, big challenge for people of African descent, but actually all people, all humanity. When you're tight and stressed, it is very, very challenging to be loving and caring, compassionate, and open to new people and to be tolerant of new experiences. And so I always have connected the two. Having a better breath, I believe, makes us a more joyful, loving human being.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So come to both websites and just enjoy.
Definitely.
Great. Thank you so much. And just as we bring the show to a close, are there any parting words that you would like to share with our listeners?
I think I've said a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say as much.
No, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say as much, but I always do. I like to talk.
Yeah.
I like to teach.
Yeah.
Said I like to teach. And when I get an opportunity to really, really stretch out and talk about the breath and talk about love and talk about positive energy, I'm going to take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what I would like to just say in parting, that love yourself enough to take care of yourself.
Yes.
Find the path to maximize every single breath, because we don't know how long we have to be here. And to maximize every single breath enables us to maximize life, and that we should really truly make this our reason to enjoy life to the fullest, because the Creator's given each of us a gift. And as we exercise that gift, we will truly, truly feel that we have lived a life worth living.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Okay, so, well, before we go, I just want to let everyone know all the information from this podcast, all of Ayo's contact information, her websites, information on Black Love Day, her phone number, all of that information is going to be listed on our show notes page. So just go to jkhealthtribe.com/Ayo. That's jkhealthtribe.com/Ayo. Ayo is spelled AYO, and you can get access to all that information. And Ayo, I want to say thanks again. Thank you for sharing your amazing story.
Thank you.
All the information that you shared, I never can get tired of hearing this information. It's just so empowering, encouraging, and I know it's going to change some lives to whoever who listens to this. So thanks again.
Oh, we give thanks. There's true power in the breath, and I'm affirming that I've been able to open up just a little bit of the doorway to that power.
Well, yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome so much. God bless you both. May Allah continue to lift you both up and continue to do great work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Same to you. Peace and blessings.
Have a blessed Black Love Day.
Thank you. You too.
Peace.
Peace.
We hope you enjoyed your time with Jamal and Kim's Inner Circle Health Tribe. To keep you on your path towards a happy, healthier lifestyle, we encourage you to visit jkhealthtribe.com for a free copy of the 8 effective ways to lose weight and keep it off, as well as more content to help you find your health balance. Thanks again, and we look forward to educating, empowering, and inspiring you to live healthier.